I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is the Stoneopolis mod pack. Now, diving back into some more Stoneopolis today, oh boy, are we going to dive into the void dimension that, well, we just unlocked last episode as we made it all the way through our starting up section. And we did actually unlock storage, which means we now have access to some storage drawers, but it does look like these do require void nuggets, which I think today we're going to hopefully be able to satisfy. So apparently we need to make our way into the void dimension right here. It says enter the void using the void portal. And then once we're in here, it says the platform in the void is made up of concrete. That's interesting. And then it talks about made inside of a strainer. And if we look at the concentrate dust pile, we'll see that we have to wash what is concrete inside of here. And so that must mean that we are going to have to mine concrete that is apparently inside of this portal behind me. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and right click on this. And this should teleport us into the void. And this was what it was meaning by there is a platform of concrete. Okay, so that's interesting, but we don't have any sort of mod that allows us to sort of get down other than just plain old water. So actually having some mulch, this could be a nifty way to do this. So all we would have to do to be able to get down would to simply be place some mulch here, and then we could use a hoe on this to turn it into water. Okay, so now we have water in here, and now we should be able to go down and build ourselves a platform that's a couple of blocks under this. And then, perfect. Now I should be able to build out. And I want to build out enough so that way I can harvest all of this concrete that is here and make sure I don't lose a single one of these. So at this point, we've effectively turned our stone base into a sky base. Or at least I guess you could use this as a sky base if you really wanted to. For me, I'm going to be still using the stone one, but we do have to use this towards our progression because we have to grab this gray concrete that's right here. So I am going to use the ore excavator to grab as much of it as possible, and then we just need to simply head back. Right now, there is no major use for this dimension. However, if you wanted to make a mob farm, this would 100% be the place to do it. Not actually the stone dimension. Considering the stone dimension is surrounded by a bunch of caves, it would make it really, really difficult to get mobs to spawn there. But they should spawn here. Don't hold me to that, however, because I have not tried it out yet. But it might be something that we do in the future. So now that we have the concrete, I'm going to sieve about half of it. And it does appear like this gets sieved in the eroding water or strained in the eroding water. Here I go again. So this is going to go ahead and produce a dust sort of variant. And it does look like this dust, yeah, is a dust pile. And whenever we break this, we actually get a special item. And this item right here is concrete dust. Now this dust is going to be used to make purifying salt mulch, which is a new type of water that we are going to make from this. And then also smelted, we can get ourselves some glass. And then when this is used in a strainer with some of that purified water, we also get ourselves some bright shards. Now all of this is definitely reflected in the quest. As you can see, we're going to need to make ourselves some bottles. And it does say right click glass bottles in the void to get bottled void. I'm quite interested to see where this progression is going to take us today. So now with our concrete dust, let's go ahead and put this together. We'll have our purifying salt mulch. Look at that. So that should complete that, and it's going to lead us into some dirt. So this is going to be our first time of getting dirt, and this is going to require void dirt. Okay, so we have a branch that leads down here, and then this leads up. Okay, so we've got to make our way through here, and I guess work our way towards the black sapling. And this is where those void bottles come into play. So let's go ahead and craft up enough. We need 4 of them, so we get 3 bottles per craft. And if I head back into the void dimension, oh boy, please work. Okay, if we go back here, we should be able to grab 4 bottles of void fluid. I'm going to leave these other 2 bottles for something later. And now we should be able to craft up a black sapling. Do we have to use, can we use any sapling? Oh, we can. Okay, so we can just use this sapling. And now we have ourselves a black sapling. Interesting. Now the slight lag that you see every time I complete like a major quest like that is actually the stages unlocking. And so we are actually rather gated. It may only seem like there's so many items in here, but every time we do this, we actually unlock some new items inside of JEI. So we have access to a bit more ingredients here and things that we can look at. Not that we can access all of them, but at least we now know what they are. Now, looking through the quests here, we have a resource generator, and it says this can be used to duplicate void chunks, which is amazing because that is going to be required for a ton of awesome components that we now have access to. So for example, storage drawers, we can now make customizable storage drawers because we have this, but this is also going to be used for other things. So it just needs some of those black logs from the black saplings that we just got. And it does look like we're going to need these black colored leaves. And okay, so that's going to give us some shears, and that's going to lead us to the void dirt. Ah, I see why. Okay, because this is going to be what we use to craft void dirt, and void dirt actually gets put in that strainer with the purified water. Okay, so as far as the purified water goes, that is placing down the mulch, and then we just use the purified salt to activate that, and there we go. Now we have a pink fluid. Very cool. So we have our regular water, and then we have our eroding water, and now over here we have our purified. Now there is something else that we just got that is pretty new, and we can make it with some panes that go like this, and some glass, and this gives us a strainer tank. And what this allows us to do is place this on top of our strainers, and that way we can have them above ground, which I probably will end up doing here soon once we have the ability to make more glass. Because at the moment we're pretty limited by just merely having what we got from our void dimension. So I do need to start working on getting more of these saplings, and I think at this point I've kind of got this down to an art. Like, I mean, I just have to make another axe, but I definitely have this down to an art at this point of just constantly rinsing and repeating this process by doing it this way. Just like I showed last episode, where we can go ahead and grow all of these like so, and it just makes it go so much faster duplicating your saplings. Oh, and something else I noticed, it does look like whenever I harvested all of those, we ended up getting void apples, which have a little bit higher saturation, and that is going to be very nice later on. So yeah, it looks like these black also drop black apples, but also void apples. And now it's time for the sheer madness of shearing all of these black leaves. And we're going to need quite a few of these black leaves because this is going to be turned into dirt, which, judging by the quest, is ultimately going to lead us down a line of drying dirt into coarse dirt, and so on and so forth, which is going to lead us to brown mushrooms, paper, and also it looks like some brown saplings. So now I should be able to craft all of these up and get myself a ton of void dirt, just like there. There we go. Now we have 64, and this gets submerged into our new purified fluid, just like this, and that should grant us, is it a 100% chance? 100% chance to convert this into normal dirt. And I'm going to need a lot of it, not only for this, but I also want it for farms here in the future, because of course we're going to have to be able to make farms, and we're going to need quite a bit of dirt for that. So all of these leaves being combined to be able to do that is definitely going to be helpful. Not only that, I think that in the future we're going to be turning this dirt into some other things. Now, some other useful stuff that we get from these black leaves are, I believe, like, I'm sorry with all the puns. I really feel like it's not intentional, but anyways, this is the dad in me, I guess. But here's the void strings right here, and we are going to need void strings from the looks of it to make drying tables. And drying tables have a couple of uses. The one is the dry, but also to moisten. So for these, I'm gonna make a few of them, and that unlocks some more stages from the looks of it. Okay. And so I'm going to place these over here, but I want to set them up in a way where I can kind of automate them, right? These are going to, I think, take a little bit of time. So if I set them up with some hoppers, we could potentially hopper items from one station to another. I guess for right now, I'm just going to lay them all out kind of like this. But I do want to make them, make the ability for them to be automated. That would be great. And so judging by the drying table here, it looks like we need to put the dirt into the drying table, and it's going to take 10 seconds. Okay, let's take a look at our dirt that we have built up. I'm going to take half of this, place it in here. And so, yeah, I probably am going to want to separate these between a bunch of these, and this is going to like multiply the time it takes to process this by like 4 times just by splitting it like so. And looky there, we already have ourselves some coarse dirt. And now we also need to take this dirt and we need to surround a sapling with it. And that's going to get us the brown colored sapling. And I think we're almost done with this chapter. We just need some brown leaves. And it looks like we can sift that in some regular water, or strain that in some regular water, and that'll get us some brown mushrooms. And now, speaking of the moist from earlier, it does look like over here to get paper, it does talk about soaking a table. So we're going to turn this table into a soaked table, and it's a waterlogged drying table. A drying table can be waterlogged by shift right clicking a bottle of water on it. Okay, that one's interesting as well. So we have some leftover bottles from earlier. And so if we grab some water here, can we grab some water? Yes, we can from here. And if we shift right click, that waterlogs them. Oh, that's interesting. And then it looks like we can turn some planks into some pressure plates. And then we take the pressure plates and we craft them like this, and we get ourselves some log sheets. Okay, and then the log sheets then get put through the soaking table. So I'm going to split these up. We'll do 16 here and 16 here. And you can even see the item hanging down into the water. I kind of like that. Okay, so this is now going in here. And it appears that once this has finished, the soaked paper then needs to go into a regular drying table to produce regular paper. Now keep in mind, all of this should be easily automatable with hoppers. Now it looks like I just got to get a few more saplings out of the way, grab myself some saplings and start to shear this. And we should now have some brown leaves that we can use to make some mushrooms. And I think that's almost this whole chapter completed. However, we still need to work our way towards the sprayer. And it looks like we can get some of these bright shards just by taking some of that concrete dust and putting it through the mesh here. And yeah, we need a few more of the mixed stone to be able to make the canister, and then this gets used to make a sprayer. So yeah, I'm gonna need a few more of these mixed stone ingots. You know, this particular pack really brings me back to like the roots, the old school modded Minecraft that I just remember. I mean, this is how a lot of mod packs were just like 5 to 7 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. And believe it or not, I'm really enjoying the progression so far. Oh, and by the way, something that I cannot believe I almost forgot to make is the resource generator. I'm gonna make 4 of these. And I definitely need to get one like somewhat automated on a furnace and making sure I'm feeding coal to that because we need to put the chunks in this and we need to get these void chunks up and running. Now, I just want to add this note in here that the void chunks are actually a fuel source, and I didn't realize it for quite a while. Just to make a very simple automation for this, I'm going to go ahead and have a hopper on the bottom that's pulling the items out. And then right here, I'm going to be using some charcoal. And then on top, I'm going to put the resource generator. And then that's going to go in here. And this should start to generate ever slowly these void chunks. And that should lead into the furnace and start producing an infinite supply of, I believe, void nuggets. And so those are going to be very, very useful here in the future. So here we go on the bright chart. So we're getting somewhere, or at least I feel like I'm getting somewhere. I'm working on getting those mixed ingots ready to go. And so I think at this point I can start to craft the canister. So the canister is going to look like that. And then I think I have a few more shards waiting for me over here. Yes. And then that should be enough. And then I think after that and the brown mushrooms, which we just got, there we go. We should now have the ability to make the sprayer. Okay, let's combine this all together. And voila. Sprayer in this chapter should be completed. Is it? Or am I missing something else? Oh, I'm missing paper. Okay, well, paper is going to be the thing that completes it then, because I have it over here. And voila! The void chapter is now finished. Very nice. Now, don't go getting excited yet, because we are far from finished with today's video, because we still have to move in to, in my opinion, the next best chapter, and that is the Sandy. And this one gets a little bit complicated. And if you didn't see it already, because we have to get into blood magic, and we are going to be also, from the looks of it, utilizing blood magic's item routing system. But it looks like there's still a long road ahead of us, because judging by the things we need to make, we also need to get into a kiln. And that means we need sand and clay, and it all leads to these different colored saplings. But now how do we get this sandy soil? Also, I'm gonna go ahead and complete that. We also get a tome that has some books in it, which would be very nice. But how do we get sandy soil? because this has been locked up to this point and I'm not able to see these recipes. So now we can view them. Oh, and it takes coarse dirt to get to sandy soil. Okay. And then sandy soil is sifted in the pure water to get sand. Okay. That is something to note. Okay. So probably automating these are going to be necessary. So I spent a little bit of time making some wooden hoppers, and this is a very simple way of sort of automating this. So I could probably compact this a bit more, but it doesn't really make that much sense. I just need a way for me to place the materials in, and they automatically get split like this, and then processed down. And as soon as they're done processing here through this system, they just end up in this chest, just so I can just kind of leave it and forget it and work on some other things while this is processing. Now, it does look like we also need mud, and mud is from coarse dirt, and that just gets pumped through the regular washing. I'm going to call it washing, but it's a soaking, right? It's called a soaking table, a moistifying table. Yeah, that's even better, right? But I need to take this coarse dirt, and I'm going to be putting it through there as well. So I'm actually going to grab a little bit of this, and this is to make clay. So if I put this over here, that'll at least get that jump started for now, but we are going to have to continue working on this. Oh, I think I even have this sort of messed up, right? Because technically we would put raw dirt up here in this particular setup, and then the raw dirt would then get turned into this sandy soil. So I technically put the dirt in the wrong side. So the way I built this was so that way I could put the regular dirt and it would automatically get converted into sand by the time it makes it to the bottom. Of course, leave it up to me to already forget what the setup does that I just put together. Now moving forward to get our sand, I just need to take the sandy soil, and I believe this just gets added to the same mesh right here that we are currently straining for dirt. And this is going to give us sand. And is it 100% chance? I believe, yes, it is 100% chance. So this is a 1-to-1 operation, which is perfect because it hasn't been that way for everything. And then for clay, which is another step that we're moving down to, this comes from mud, and we need to go back and grab some of that concrete dust from earlier, and we combine that with this and we get clay blocks. So we are still limited on our concrete dust. So I am still trying to be a little cautious with it, but I'm sure we're going to be able to get more eventually. I mean, we have to, right? Like, surely we're going to get more. But this right here is going to give us clay balls, and we can get that by simply placing this on the ground and breaking it. So let's put our mud. There's so many gray blocks. I'm ready to get more color in this base. But for right now, we can place this all down. And by the way, there is a wand in here, so we could make construction wands. I just don't really find it necessary until we need them for bigger tasks. But there we go. Now we have tons of clay balls, and we even get more clay for completing that quest, which is nice. And then we also get some sand. So we should have sand now. Perfect. And all of this is going to be combined together. We need to smelt some brick, and we need that to make ourselves a kiln. Now a kiln, I believe, needs 8 blocks, so we need 4 operations of this. And I believe that's going to equate to about 32 sand in order to make this furnace. Well, I call it a furnace, but it's actually a kiln. So now after getting myself some brick, we should be able to combine this with some sandstone, and we only need 8 of these in order to make the actual kiln. But I'm also going to need to use the brick up here, and that is going to get me the hammer. Okay, so the kiln, I think I'm going to put it over here. It's kind of a small block. Actually, you know what? Let's put it right in here. I'm going to have it partially sticking out of the wall. And this thing is very simple. So as soon as you build out the kiln, it's just a 2x2. You hit it with the hammer, and that will convert it over into the alloy kiln. And this is where we actually do some, well, alloying. And it looks like the thing it wants us to make is void stone. So we're going to need some stone, it looks like, and regular void chunks. And I should have plenty of chunks that have built up over here. I'm going to actually grab those out of all 3 of these. And by the way, this has still been chugging along, and we now have several void nuggets ready to go. So now back inside the kiln, I should be able to add my stone and get the void in here, and then add some sort of fuel to this. And this actually goes really fast. It's, compared to everything else, this is probably one of the faster operations we've encountered thus far. Now, in the meantime, while I'm letting those process up, I can also go ahead and make a couple of other sapling colors. This one being cyan, And then we can also make yellow. These are very, very bright and vibrant. Both of them are. I mean, just look how crazy this color is. That is amazing. I wonder, I'm trying to think of all kinds of possibilities to be able to use these colors. But yeah, as of right now, it does look like regular oak leaves. I mean, they kind of look faded and sort of dingy. And I think it's because of the cave biome being like some sort of pseudo like desert biome is kind of what it feels like. But yeah, let's take a look at this one. Oh, that looks like just diamonds in the wall. That is very, very nice as well. So I think now at this point, this is where things are really going to start getting interesting, because we should now have the ability to literally make a blood altar and a sacrificial knife, leading us into the part of blood magic that this pack has to offer. So let's grab out all of our void stone, and that unlocked a whole bunch of stuff because that was a nice nifty lag spike. And we should now be able to make a sacrificial knife, which is what we're going to need to sacrifice ourselves for some blood to go in the altar. And so this is not too difficult to get set up. And then this is going to require some void stone. So we're going to need some actual stone here. And we should have ourselves a blood altar. Very nice. And I kind of want to place my blood altar like right over here for right now. I think this is a good spot. I definitely need to get some lights over here though. Ooh, and for that, I can go ahead and make some torches, and I can probably place some torches under some leaves. Yeah, I mean, that seems really safe, but I should be able to place some torches underneath leaves to give this sort of ambient lighting effect where it actually doesn't look like there's a torch down here, or at least that's the goal. I mean, with our limited resources, that's just going to have to do for now. And so now at this point, here comes the crazy part. Right? We just simply right click and there we go. Yeah, it does take our health to do this, but it does seem like it gives us quite a bit in here for what it's worth. Now, dying is not recommended, because if you do die from doing this, in which it will kill you, you will end up with sulfray, which lasts about a minute or so, and that sulfray will not allow you to gain any blood from repetitive dying. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you ever get stuck with blood magic, there is always this book right here, and this book will allow you to search. And so if you ever are trying to figure out what something does, you can just simply search it in here. For example, the node router, it will tell you how, or roughly how, everything kind of works. But I am also going to try my best to explain it as well. Now, one of the first things it seems like we can try is to get grass seeds. And it says this is made inside of the blood altar, and it turns blocks into grass blocks when used in the world. So we just simply need to take some of that mulch, put it in here for a little bit of blood, and we get ourselves grass seeds. So I've gone ahead and replaced all of the past dirt that I had with some actual dirt. And if I go ahead and use some of that blood, I should be able to place this in, and that should get converted into a grass seed, and I can place that down, and voila, we now have some nice grass in our base. Things are really starting to look a lot better now. So now that we have grass, remember that cutting board from earlier and that knife that I had mentioned? Well, we can actually utilize it at this point, but mainly the reason why I want to use it is because it gives us the ability to get bone meal. So we can actually harvest quite a bit of bone meal from our fish, believe it or not, especially since we do not have a mob farm going right now. And now what I should be able to do is bone meal this grass, and when I break it, I should have a chance of getting some actual seeds, and we also should be able to get hemp seeds as well, I believe. There's just a small chance. So let's see. Can we get some? Ooh, we actually got a wild potato farm. That's actually kind of nice. I didn't know we could actually get those. But yes, the goal is to try and get ourselves some seeds, so that way we can start growing some crops. But specifically, we are going to need some very special seeds from Immersive, and I'm kind of hoping we can get. And there we go. So I ended up getting those. So now we have industrial hemp. We also have some regular seeds, and we even got some cabbage seeds. I kind of wonder if I continue doing this, would I also be able to pick up some more things? We also got some lilac. I wonder if we would be able to get all of the Farmer's Delight foods. Before I start making a farm, however, I kind of want to get this process set up and automated. And this does seem like kind of a crazy process to do, but it's kind of been simplified in this pack, as blood magic is not as hard to get into in this particular setup as it typically is in the base mod. And that's because to be able to make the blank slates which are required to upgrade your tier altar in this mod, we just simply need to put void chunks in here, and it only uses 100 LP. And life points, by the way, are the blood. Basically, what you see behind here is actually called life essence. And it's not technically blood, but we all know what it is. I guess, however, from this point on, I should probably continue to call it life essence. Now, this blood magic process is pretty manual right at the start, but it doesn't take very long to be able to actually set this up and automate it. We just simply need 8 of these slates according to the quest book, and we are going to be able to make some pipes that are going to allow us to automate this a lot easier and make this whole process pretty straightforward. Because you can't just hopper things into this and expect to be able to pull them out. That's not exactly how this works. Basically, a hopper would just send this entire stack in here, and we kind of need to limit how many go in here at a time. And so by just me putting one at a time, that works out. But like I said, hopper automations do not work in that way. Now, we also get a couple of extra blank slates, which we're going to be able to use later, but we also need to make this orb. So a weak blood orb, and that is going to require a void ingot, it looks like, and we have tons of void at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those. And this is going to take a little bit more LP than everything else so far. But this is going to get us our first blood orb, which contains our life essence network, which later on, if we ever get into rituals or what have you, that is where our essence is actually going to be pulled from. It's going to be pulled from us simply right-clicking this and linking it to ourselves. And every time we right-click this, it is going to store a little bit of life essence into it. I know, it's a very interesting concept, but now that I have those items, I can actually make a few of these blank runes, and we need 8 of them in order to actually upgrade this to the next tier altar. So I'm just going to simply wrap around the runes, just like so, and you leave the middle section empty. And by doing this, this is now going to be considered a tier 2 altar. And now that's pretty important because we are going to need that tier 2 altar to make the routing sticks. And as you can see right here, this needs a tier 2, and we need to use these routing sticks in order to make all of the routing nodes. So now after leveling this thing up to this tier, I now have access to making all of these different nodes. So we have an input node, we also have an output node, and then we have the routing nodes. Now, by default, placing all of these down is not going to really do anything because we also need the node router, but we need the major part of this. For every input and every output node we place, we are essentially going to also need a filter for this. And now when crafting up your nodes, I recommend making at least 2 of them because the quest reward is actually going to give you 2 as well. And same goes for your filters. I recommend making 2 because it's going to give you an extra one, giving you 4. And so now for the fun part, getting to explain how these nodes actually work. Now to get started, every node network needs a master routing node in order to be functional. So they all eventually have to link to this, but it doesn't matter how they're all linked. Now to be able to pull items out of an inventory, we are going to need to use an input routing node. So I'm going to place this on the bottom here. And then we're going to use an output node to send items from here into this. And it's all going to be done via filters, as we'll get into in a minute. And just like pulling items out of this barrel, we need to use an importer to pull items into the network, by the way, just kind of way to look at it. And then we're going to output them right here into this particular barrel. So how do we actually get these items moving? Because by default, things aren't just going to move on their own. We can see these aren't moving. Even if we were to link this together, by the way, by shift right clicking, and right-clicking again, shift right-clicking, and connecting these all up, and making sure, by the way, they're all connected to this node. It doesn't matter how you connect them, just so long as they're all connected. I really wish it showed the lasers, because these are really cool, but it's not still sending items. We notice it's not sending anything, and that's because we have to use a filter. So we need to actually tell this node right here what to pull, and so to be able to do that, I just need to grab these void chunks, and I just need to right click the void chunks or left click the void chunks in here to set the filter. So now these in this filter should now know what to pull, but it doesn't know where to send to yet. So we need to create a filter for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put a void filter in here, but while it's selected, by default, it's set to everything. It's going to send an infinite amount, but we want to regulate how many goes in here. So to do that, we set the number to 1, and this is only going to put 1 item in at a time. And that is a really nice feature. So when we do this, this should, hopefully, when both of the filters are set up, this should start sending the items into the blood altar. So let's go ahead and give that a try. As soon as I put these in here, we should notice that 1 goes in, just like we intended to happen, and now it has changed. Now, we do want to take this out because we need to make filters for the other side as well. So let's go ahead and pull this out, and we have to add a filter in for this. But thankfully for both of these filters, it's just as simple as placing it in for both of them. And now they're both ready to be placed in. So both of them now know what they're putting into each other's inventory. And so we should have automation started. Now that we've placed that in, it goes in. And as soon as it is finished, it then gets put over here as the finished product. And that is how we are going to automate the blood altar. And we are going to be using this for quite a few things. Now, still, you're going to have to fill this with life essence. So that's something to note. And it does look like as we go down, we will be able to unlock runes of self-sacrifice, which is going to really help the amount of food that you're going to have to eat. So the more of these you have, the less you're going to have to damage yourself to keep refilling your altar. And so now all of this leads me into making the red colored sapling. And so now we have that unlocked and we can get leaves, and it looks like we can now make red mushrooms. And if I know what that makes, it makes stew. And this gives us the effect comfort, which will make doing blood magic a whole lot easier. And the comfort effect allows you to regenerate even if your saturation is completely dwindled and you are not currently fed. And it will last 3 minutes, so we'll have a constant regeneration effect happening. And so now with our mushroom stew, that is so nice. So with this, if I eat, we should notice with that comfort that we should still be able to hopefully regenerate our health. So let's continue to eat. And there we go. We should have 3 minutes of like non-stop regeneration. And so doing this is going to be a lot easier. You can see it constantly regenerating so long as we have that saturation. And there it goes. There's the effect right there. We can see that even though the food's gone, it is still regenerating. Now there's still a couple more things to do. For one, we can upgrade this slate. Now to be able to turn off this node, I'm just going to pull this filter out, and that will allow me to place in a blank slate. That way we can upgrade it to a tier 2 slate. So doing that is going to convert, which is what we're going to need for a reinforced slate. And then also to make a dagger of sacrifice, we're going to need to upgrade basically a sacrificial knife. So I made another one. We're going to need to convert that into its next tier. So yeah, this blank slate is going to take a bit more life essence. You can see right here, 2,000. Without any speed upgrades, it is going to be rather slow to do this. But there we go. It has now upgraded. And then we can also upgrade our knife. And we might as well also start, increasing the life essence in here. And now I definitely think my best bet is to probably make as many of these runes of self-sacrifice as I can currently afford right now. Now I think this is the final part of the chapter. So here we go, and boom, that should be the last thing. And our sandy chapter is now complete. Oh boy. However, I still have several more runes to make for the self-sacrifice. But as I make them, they're going to get a lot easier because each time I add one of these, it's going to increase the amount of life essence that I get per poke. And now with this all set up and the chapter now complete, today, we are effectively all out of time. But I hope you did enjoy today's episode, and hopefully you learned something new, as there's going to be a lot more breaking loose in this mod pack to come, and I cannot wait to do that with you. So be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and well, give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Crispy Bacon. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, and choosing to support me over on Discord by becoming a Discord premium member. And, well, preventing me from needing to rely on sponsors. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. And guys, if you're looking to become a Discord premium member and gain access to world downloads and also servers, be sure to check out the link down in the description below, or you can join my Discord by going to discord.gg/ChosenArchitect and joining the amazing crew today. And well, with that, I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye!